Professor Matt Diggs.
Yeah, I am fired up. This is the first time you get to see a fourth quarter with or fifth quarter.
Fifth quarter. This is the fifth quarter.
Fifth quarter, because the fourth quarter was getting to watch Plano East have victory tonight over McKinney Boyd in the fourth quarter, by the way. It was down to the last second game. So the fans out there are all 15 or 20 of them, or a couple thousand. We'll take it. They get to see a fired up Professor Diggs who is enthusiastic and full of joy.
He's so excited.
I am excited. And I'm ready to talk high school football throughout the DFW. We're going to go all the way from Pilot Point to Longview and
we're going all over
every school in between. We're going to talk about every single school tonight.
Well, welcome
including
to the fifth quarter.
Denton Geyer, but not really Denton Geyer. Say the week off.
Well,
it's okay.
Oh, good for you.
That was perfect for that too.
That was perfect.
Okay, perfect. Well,
but we had big games.
We did
nonetheless.
Have big games. We had huge games.
Getting ready. We had district start, and we had some key non-district games. And our producers, they cared more about the non-district games.
They did. The first one was Rockwall versus Martin. Both teams, really good teams. Martin undefeated going into this game. Rockwall had just one loss to Highland Park of all the people. But Rockwall pulls this one out, 45-38. This is Martin's first loss of the season. And Jackson Smith Njigba had 11 receptions for 201 yards. He averaged 18.3 yards per catch, and he had 4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns. You just throw him the ball. I mean,
he was also our recruiting trail today, so watch that.
What I really liked about Rockwall in this game was the fact they actually ran the ball as well. Khalil Catlett, 34 carries, 176 yards, and that's the kind of thing that opens the game up for Jackson Smith to do his thing. And again, Rockwall put the ball 500 yards. This time, we've talked about all the crazy things with Arlington Martin and some of the benefits they had. Rockwall was the beneficiary of 5 turnovers in that game. They were +3. They had 2 of their own. But when you consider the fact that Rockwall only won this game by a touchdown and had 3 turnovers to their advantage, really lets me know Arlington Martin was for real, because they are a fantastic football team, and I think now, in my eyes, they are the contender and the district favorites.
Hold on. We got a bug.
I got a bug?
You got a bug. Okay, we got it. We got the bug.
We need to call some pest control. Wizard! Call pest control. I know what you're doing.
We're now going to have a segment with pest control, some pest control sponsoring something. But Matt, what does this say about Rockwall? A good win. The only team that they've lost to is Highland Park, which is always a good team. Granted, Highland Park did lose to Lone Star last week, but Rockwall is a good team. They just kind of have a little bit of trouble getting over that hump at the end of the season.
And my buzzword this week, you're going to hear me, I have buzzwords for each. As we get to playoffs, you're going to hear triangulation as a buzzword. When we get to district, you're going to hear buffer term. Buffer games is my word. And calibration is the term of the week. Okay. And calibration is when we figure out when teams start to play each other, who have played other teams, we can really start to focus on who they are and what they are. And for me, Rockwall, now that they've calibrated themselves against Arlington Martin has a calibration game, I'm a little concerned about Rockwall, to be brutally honest, because we saw last week that Highland Park can get shut down.
Yeah.
That a good defense can take care of them, and Rockwall and that Highland Park had that 66-59 game. So for me, Rockwall, when they have to play a good defense like Longview or Allen, I don't think they're going to be able to get over that hump. Their offense is going to be great, but this game could have been completely different against Arlington Martin if they didn't have 5 turnovers.
Exactly.
And yes, credit their defense to that, but some of that is bad fumbles, just fumbled snaps and handoffs. It wasn't necessarily that Rockwall was getting in there generating those defensive turnovers. It was just mistakes that Arlington Martin had. So for Rockwall, I'm a little concerned about them, especially in a district with Mesquite Horn. Mesquite is just playing fantastic football. I mean, we talk about teams of the week. Mesquite had a huge win last night against LD Bell, and they are playing flat-out good football. I can't guarantee that Rockwall is now a guaranteed number 2 in this district with Mesquite Horn playing as well as they are. So for Rockwall, I'm really concerned, even though they're looking good 3-1 in non-district play, getting ready for district. But as they have to start firing up against Longview and some of the really good teams in that district, in fact, they play Longview next week. In Longview, I don't know
And Longview's a really hard team to
if
beat.
we'll send people out there to East Texas to cover
Probably
that.
will.
We should. But Longview is a fan, and that to have that early, and then to have Mesquite Horn in 2 weeks, I'm very concerned about Rockwall. They're looking good. The numbers are looking well when you look at their stats, but when you kind of start to dig into box scores and start seeing who the teams they're beating, how they're doing, Rowlett, that 50-7 win is not looking as good at now that Rowlett has had a couple of games that we know where Rowlett is. In Arlington Bowie, that game is not looking as well as it did a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about Rockwall. They are a good football team. I might knock them off the elite status.
What?
I think they might be a very good football team, but
Matt Diggs with big
don't
things.
think they are an elite football team this season. They're going to be a fun football team to watch, but elite, they're going to have to play some defense, and I'm not
Matt
seeing
Diggs
them
is doing
play
big things.
defense. Got to
So-
see some defense, Coach Webb. I know
So
you're watching.
we talk about Rockwall Martin, big game that we had this weekend. What are some other games that you had your eye on?
I had my eye on a lot of games, and it turned out that there were some games I didn't have my eye on that maybe I should have had my eye on. But let's talk about the other one in that 11-6A versus 3-6A battle with Mesquite Horn and Arlington. I know you've got some information.
Yeah,
I'll
you
let
know.
you share all of the knowledge you
Oh,
have.
yay!
Don't want to usurp you.
So the Colts beat Mesquite Horn tonight, 48-35. Quarterback Chris Sims had a really good night. He had a 77% completion percentage, 5 touchdowns, and he was 17 for 22 on attempts.
Yeah, and 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Arlington had 9 penalties for 105 yards. There's a lot for Arlington to clean up. And when I look at Arlington Martin and how they played, that's why looking at these two scores against similar teams, I'm going to leave Arlington Martin over Arlington, despite the fact Arlington ended non-district at 4-0 or 3-0, have kind of the momentum going into district play. But Arlington Martin, for me now, has shown that they are the team to beat. Arlington has had some question marks. Beating Jesuit only by 10, kind of like, then you see this game, back and forth game. They were up on Mesquite Horn, 14-17 for a good chunk of this game, but still, I'm not seeing, they're still giving that defense. Gave up 391 yards. I'm just not seeing Arlington as a team that is going to be an elite level team. And right now, teams are differentiating themselves. Your team, Denton Geyer, is differentiating himself against Aledo, against Cedar Hill. And those teams are differentiating themselves.
Exactly.
Once they're not playing Denton Geyer anymore, they're doing elite level things. Right now, Arlington is kind of in that Rockwall boat for me. Good team. They're going to be fun to watch. I don't know that they're the district champions, and I don't know that they have an extended playoff run.
And right now is so vital for these teams as
Sure.
they're moving out of district play or moving out of non-district play into district play to really decide, okay, is this going to be a playoff season? What is this? What is our season actually going to look like? Because those first 3 games don't matter anymore.
They don't. And one thing we internally debate in the media community is, what is success in high school football? Is it playing in December? Is it state championship or bust? Is it winning a district title? Is a team that had 4 rounds of playoff success necessarily a better or more successful team than a team that might have lost in the first round against the number 1 team in the state? They just had the bad fortune of having the number 1 team in the state in the first round because of the way their districts align. So when you really focus on that, Arlington has the opportunity, because of who they play in the first couple of rounds, to have a nice run in the playoffs if that's the metric. For me, Arlington's metric that they need to do, because they've shown that they can win these shootout games, can they win a game against a team like a Denton Geyer, a team against like Southlake, one of those, and then in the third round of the playoffs when they have to play against a DeSoto, Duncanville, Cedar Hill, depending on how the brackets shake out, can they win those games? And games like this kind of let me know that they're not at that level. But they have the ability, if they can clean up some of these things, 2 interceptions, if they can clean up the penalties, to get to that level, but they're not quite there yet.
Diggs,
Yes.
your team.
My team, the Mighty Panthers, defeated McKinney Boyd this week. It was a pick'em game for many. But McKinney Boyd is a good football team. They've had a couple of losses. They started out the season with a big win against Naaman Forest, but have struggled against Marcus and Louisville, two teams we expect to be playoff teams in that District 5 6A, 6A. And when District 6 6A takes off next week, it is going to be fun. It's going to be one we're going to be talking about every week because 2 or 3 of those teams are going to be playing a meaningful game. Because you have 5 really good teams
meaningful games
in that district. Yeah, come on. We also like the Venus Pinkston games. And I'm very disappointed that Pinkston did not beat Venus this week, 34-28. So where else are you going to hear? If you go to our competitors, I don't even know if we have competitors, but if we do have competitors, they're not talking about Venus Pinkston.
Well, but we are.
We are talking about Venus Pinkston and the Venus Bulldogs with a big win tonight over the Pinkston Vikings. But big win for Plano East. And when you have teams that are kind of bunched up together, if you lose these kinds of games, you've got to win 2 games you're not expected to win to make up for that, because you're going to have to beat a team that is probably going to have to beat Boyd's, and you're going to have to beat them to get on the other side of the tiebreakers. So these kinds of games, what I kind of call buffer wins, are huge because now McKinney Boyd, to go back over Plano East, is going to have to win 2 games that Plano East did, against teams that might beat Plano East. And that's going to be a tall order for Coach McBride over there. But big win for Plano East. They're very 1-3 is kind of a misleading number because they've actually played very well. They haven't played a complete game. Tonight was not a complete game. They had 3 turnovers in the game. Didn't get any turnovers themselves.
But it's his team.
But it is my team, and in Panther country, the black and gold flags are flying, and we are having fun. Coach Mack, you and I are going to go have iced tea tonight, and we're going to have fun till the wee hours, and then we're going to break down tape and prosper.
Iced tea.
Prosper next week. Not Long Island iced tea, just regular
iced tea, guys.
Regular iced tea.
We don't talk about the good stuff on this show.
Freshly brewed iced tea. There's nothing like it. Put grandma's sugar in there.
Give me some sugar in that. I'm happy.
There you go.
Do we have any more games that we're going to cover in this first
there
segment?
are so many games that we could
Let's
cover
do
in
one
this
more.
segment. Well, let me go kind of just quick. We talked about the LD Bell game last week. Mesquite with a big victory over that. But I think if you're going to hold me to one game in this segment, South Grand Prairie is going to get my love. They had a big upset win over Mansfield Lake Ridge. And for me, this is such a bittersweet thing for me to talk about because if you've been keeping up, and I know you have, Mansfield Lake Ridge, their defensive coordinator died.
Yes, I did see that. That makes me very sad.
It does make me, and Mansfield ISD has had a couple of high-profile coaches. The Mansfield coach is battling cancer. He is battling cancer. And I would give an expletive to what I think about cancer, but I know kids watch this show. But you know what I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about cancer. And unfortunately,
Starts with an F.
I don't know.
And ends with a K.
It does, and it pisses me off that cancer keeps taking so many great people and so many great minds, and I know that had to be an emotional toll for Mansfield Lake Ridge this week. This week, South Grand Prairie kind of put it to them. South Grand Prairie, this is a big win for South Grand Prairie because we talk about 5 really good teams in this district with Mansfield Summit, Mansfield Lake Ridge, Cedar Hill, DeSoto, and now South Grand Prairie. That's a big win for South Grand Prairie to jump over Mansfield Lake Ridge. And now for me, it's Mansfield Lake Ridge against Mansfield Summit for the last playoff spot. And Mansfield Lake Ridge has kind of had a tailspin. After the first couple of weeks where they looked good, they had a very head-scratching, we talked about it last week, playing against Mansfield Timberview. Timberview pretty much took them to task, and now South Grand Prairie took them to task. I don't know if it's the emotional toll of dealing with the on-the-field stuff with their defensive coordinator passing away unexpectedly, or if it's the just now that we're seeing the calibration that South Grand Prairie played a team like Lancaster, played a team like South Grand Prairie. And Lancaster, that is a good football team. I mean, that is a team
Lancaster
that is
gonna say it properly around here.
I call it. See, I'm like from the.
We've got to say it properly
from
around
the
here.
Lancaster, but they call it Lancaster.
Lancaster.
You know,
I've had to say that a billion times.
I need my phonetics. We need to get Warden here telling us to watch our G's, right?
I
See,
like my G's.
when certain things happen, I have to ask myself a very important question. What would
that?
Pat Doney do?
Oh,
And would he call it Lancaster or Lancaster?
that's a good question. Pat? What do you
Pat,
say?
you are my emotional leader, my spirit animal in the high school football media world. Lead me into the better graces.
Wait, we got an update on our thing.
Lore.
All Saints beats
Parish
upsets
Episcopal.
Parish Episcopal 23-17.
Good tap stuff right there.
Oh, hey.
That is the kind of stuff we have. We have scrolling things over there to let
that
us
we
know.
can read as they come up.
But a big win for South Grand Prairie to knock off Mansfield Lake Ridge this week. A big district game in 7-6A. For me, I'm going to have to knock Lake Ridge out of my perceived playoff spots, despite the fact that I know that they have some internal stuff going on right now. But I don't know if this season is going to be for Lake Ridge.
Matt is just ruthless, but our condolences to all of you at Mansfield
Kirk
Lake
Thor,
Ridge.
head coach at Lake Ridge, is just such an amazing man. He did assistant athletic director for a while. Just such great with the media, and I know his heart has to be broken right now. Just heart hurts, and my heart hurts for Mansfield Lake Ridge. And I don't know if the football team sometimes. There's more important things, and I think
Definitely.
that the more important things might end up being just honoring that coach and getting better every week and trying to live out his legacy of football as a coach.
Very nice. Well, that was better said than I could have said, Matt, so thank you for that.
It was not really well said. I wish I could be a better wordsmith because he deserved that. If I could have oratorized him better, I would have, but I know all of you in Mansfield are in our hearts and thoughts and prayers.
Most definitely. Well, that's all we have for this first segment. We're going to go talk to some producers right after this.
Don't forget to catch our extended coverage of the high school football season each week on The Warm-Up, presented by your local North Texas Geico agents. We will get you ready for all the action this Thursday on all our social media outlets.
Well, we're coming to see the man who's finally back from vacation. Well, not just vacation. He went and worked for us too. But Jerome is back.
What's up, Ashley? How are
And
you?
he brought his family with him. Hello, friends.
Hello, hello.
We love everybody here on the fifth quarter. Jerome, Rockwall, Martin. Ooh. Tell me about it. What did you see? How good are these two teams?
Well, they're both really good. I was
Wait, I'm
very
about to get it
impressed.
close on here.
Yeah, I was very impressed. I got to see a lot of great offensive play by.
Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson was on point today. I think he had 4 touchdowns in the first half. Was just all over the field. It was a really, really well executed offensive game plan by Rockwell. What they did was had to keep it going all game because Martin did not give up. They were all over it. They had a lot of plays. They fell down a little bit early, but came back and towards the end of the game made it a game. In fact, we're throwing with a couple minutes left to go in the game to try to tie it. Unfortunately, their quarterback fumbled the ball, and that was the end of it. But phenomenal game.
Like we said, Jackson Smith and Jigba had 11 receptions and 4 touchdowns tonight. So we have something special here. Our friends, Jerome's family, got introduced to Texas high school football.
This is Vaughn
tonight.
Smollett.
Hello. Hold on. We're going to make sure you're all lined up. What did you think about Texas high school football?
It is absolutely crazy. I mean, in Illinois, like, our student section was just nowhere near compared to what theirs. And their whole entire stadium is insane. It's like a big, multi-million-dollar complex, and it's crazy. I mean, our whole entire home student section was the size of their away section. And then, you turn around and you're like, okay, this is actually their student section over here. I mean, just awesome football. Way better players than we have in Illinois, that's for sure. And it seems like the whole entire town really shuts down for them, every single Friday. Come on.
Most definitely does. Most definitely does. We'll be right back.
Watch Inside High School Sports to catch this week's MVP, brought to you by GiveMeTheVin.com. These MVP athletes make it look easy, just like GiveMeTheVin.com makes it easy to sell your car.
And we're back with the fifth quarter, and this is our favorite segment because the professor gets to pick whatever he pleases in this
Whatever
segment.
I want to talk about, and as we've talked about, district play started this week, so we have some interesting results in district, some of which will perhaps be district championships, and some of which might determine playoff spots this early. Upset loss could.
In week 1 of district
Week 1 of
play.
district play. Let's start in District 10 6A. Give our friends in Garland ISD a little love. And do you know what AMO means?
No,
by
what does
chance?
AMA mean?
There's so many different people. It's a wily term. They'll tell you it's annihilate, humiliate, mutilate, and obliterate.
Okie
A
dokie.
lot of eights in there. Very, very powerful language.
Okay there.
Some people say, I'm going to kick your butt. I'm going to kick your butt. Or, probably a little more colorful.
Okay, I got it.
But the spirit of Amo, once a year, it seems like no matter what happens in non-district, Wiley finds a way to do something spectacular. They could go 2-8, and all of a sudden they do something spectacular. Last year, they beat McKinney unexpectedly in the first round of the playoffs, and this week, our
Big.
friends at Wiley defeated Saxe, which everybody thought would be the de facto district champions, 22-21.
And everyone
Fourth
thought that
quarter
Saxe was
comeback.
going to roll in this game.
Everybody thought Saxe was going to roll in this game, and that Amo spirit came forth and said, not in our house, it was at the pirate ship. And Wiley, now in my eyes, is the district forerunner in this district after beating Saxe.
What does a win like this say about Wiley?
Well, it says that they are a team that has great coaching. I suspect that there was a lot of scheming going on for that. Now, they were the beneficiary of turnovers. They did get 4 turnovers in that game. Wiley did not have a huge offensive. They had 241 yards, but they only had 4 penalties. Marcus McElroy, their quarterback, only threw the ball for 100 yards, but a good steward, a good manager. That defense of Wiley, we talked about in our first segment, Rockwall, and kind of how we're worried about defense. There are some teams in the Metroplex who are playing defense. Prosper is a team that's playing good defense. Plano East is a team that's playing good defense. Frisco Lone Star is a team playing good defense. And Wiley showed that they could shut down a high-powered offense, especially within the framework of Garland ISD. I believe that Wiley is now a favorite, and how that impacts the district race, I'm not sure. I think that makes them number 1 and Saxe number 2, but the other two playoff spots will be very interesting. Another shout out in that district, North Garland with a big win. North Garland is a team that hasn't made the playoffs in years. If I was a Garland ISD historian, I can tell you it's been a while. North Garland has played some pretty abysmal football.
Straight up, it's just been a while.
It's been a while. And for me, when I see North Garland playing well, the light, the spirit in my soul starts to step up. And they are now 4-0 with a big win over Lakeview Centennial this past week. Big win for North Garland. And kind of a surprising score in that district. Rowlett, Naaman Forest 7-6.
I did see
about
that.
Defensive battle. Naaman Forest was up 6-0 at halftime. Rowlett got their extra point when it mattered.
Well,
7-6.
Rowlett, good for you.
But Rowlett is not the Rowlett of old. We saw them lose 50-7 against Rockwall. We saw them lose to Plano. And a 1-point win over Naaman Forest does not inspire much confidence in me. So I think, watch out for North Garland. I'm going to slate them and slot them 3rd place now. North Garland.
Well, Garland had a pretty big night too.
They did.
They scored 56 points on South Garland. South Garland.
Mighty Colonels. South Garland's another one of those teams that I'd like to see have a resurgence. They've had some really bad years. A lot of 0-10, 1-9, losing games, 63-0. So I'd like to see South Garland. I remember South Garland being kind of the team in South Garland in the late 90s and early aughts. And it'd be nice to see South Garland make it back up to prominence. And Garland is one of those teams that has also struggled. Pretty much everybody would say North Garland, Garland, and South Garland at the bottom of the district. Let Saxe, Wiley, and Rowlett kind of fight it out. And now Garland and North Garland are back to prominence. I'm excited for the Owls. And as you can see, their offense, 507 yards.
Yeah.
They're able to put up some numbers.
507 yards. I mean, that's some of the highest yardage I've seen.
I want you to scroll down because South Garland has a really good running back, and I want to see what kind of numbers he put up there. Look at that, right there. That is
Jaleel Brown.
That is
23
bobblehead numbers.
23 attempts, 373 yards, 16.2 yards per average yards, and 2 touchdowns on the night. Okay, Jaleel.
That is big time numbers right there, and
we'll keep an eye out.
That's very well, very impressive. Garland and North Garland, two very fun teams to keep an eye on in that district race. I think District 11, which is now widely considered the District of Doom, sorry to our friends in 7 6A.
That's not what Ward says.
Well, Ward is wrong about a lot of things. But District 11 6A, I think, has kind of sussed itself out. I think we now know who the pretenders are and who are the
Who are
district
the
favorites.
pretenders and who are the favorites?
Well, the favorites, I think you have Longview, Rockwall, Mesquite Horn are your
Yes.
your 4 playoff teams. Tyler Lee lost to Mesquite Poteet tonight, so I'm a little questioning Tyler Lee. Rockwall Heath had a bad loss against McKinney North on Thursday night. I was at that game, so I could say I saw that. And North Mesquite had a bad loss tonight against Haltom. So I think there's a pretty definitive line. For me now, it's can Mesquite jump over Mesquite Horn and possibly over Rockwall to get to that number 2 spot.
So since you said lackluster with Mesquite Poteet, isn't Mesquite Poteet though one of those teams that can kind of come and get you
They can.
whenever, like a Byron Nelson almost?
Yeah, they're Byron
Just much
Nelson
better
is
than
a
Byron
great.
Nelson.
I don't know if they're much better than Byron Nelson, but they are a team that you can't overlook. And
Yeah.
I overlooked them this week. I took Tyler Lee to win this game fairly comfortably, and we had a very vigorous debate on Twitter about this. And I'm looking like an idiot now. Those tweets did not age well at all. I might go delete them in between segments.
If
but
it's on the internet, it's
assuming
never
if it's
gone.
on the internet, it's probably there. Mesquite Poteet with a big win, which kind of allows me to transition over to District 7 5A, another interesting district. Texas High is a team that's looking good. You might think this is a DFW show. Why are we talking about Texarkana? It's 3 hours away to get to
It's not
Texarkana.
that far.
When I go to Texarkana, I have to stop by Tamales. Tamales, great Mexican food.
Tamales sounds
Please
so good
sponsor
right now.
us.
You want to send us some?
We love tamales. But McKinney North
We
is
like food.
McKinney North is such a weird football team.
Yeah.
Because they are a team that can play up or play down to their opponents. Because their defense is questionable, or as their radio announcer told me last night, constantly improving. I have to work on my pronunciation of consonants. Improving. Thank you, Ward. So McKinney North is a team that can win or lose against anybody, depending on if they get a couple of turnovers, a couple of tip balls. They're variables. Sherman with the big win tonight over Justin Northwest, so they've shown me that they're a top 5 team in this district. John Tyler, even though they're 0-4, they lost to Trinity tonight, but they have played some really good 6A teams. They played Longview and Mesquite Horn, and now Euless Trinity, and they played Longview, and this is a team that plays good teams. So even though they're 0-4, they're very good 0-4. Mesquite Poteet could have been 0-4 tonight, but they had a big win against Tyler Lee, as we talked about. West Mesquite and Wiley East are probably at the bottom of this district, but there are 5 really good teams in District 7 5A out of 7 teams. So when district play starts next week, there's going to be some GoDaddies and some important games. In that
We
district.
like big games around here. A score I just looked up and searching through scores, a score that I am a little bit flabbergasted to see is Trinity or TC Cedar Hill and Melissa. TC Cedar Hill beat Melissa 48-7.
Why are you surprised about that?
Because I feel like Melissa is one of those teams that's a very solid team. Like I think TC Cedar Hill is really good, but I don't think Melissa is only 1 touchdown good.
No, Melissa's a good football team. They're in a very tough district with Paris and Argyle and Salina. But, the private schools this year have played really good football.
Mm-hmm.
When you see Argyle, you see Prestonwood against teams. Prestonwood, Christian Academy beat Wiley pretty handily the first week, and we just saw Wiley beat a top 10 6A team. So these 6A teams, these private school teams, Parish Episcopal, Trinity Christian, Argyle Liberty Christian, some of the TAP schools, Bishop Lynch, Bishop Dunn, they're very good football teams. And they would play with the top 20 teams in 6A if they needed to. And we see that with Jesuit kind of being a private school that gets to play up with UIL. So I'm not surprised by that score. They have some really
but they just
good talent.
Brandon Lewis is a very good quarterback, and they kept him to
absolutely.
61 yards passing and 48 yards rushing.
You know who would have played for whose senior year this would have been for Melissa if he stayed there?
Who's that?
Your friend Cater Cobbs.
Kedrick Cubs.
Transferred from Melissa.
Kedrick Cobbs, my bad. Kedrick.
We know I'm bad with him.
There's a story on him tomorrow on Chevrolet or on Wingstop Inside High School Sports. Our inside story is on Mr. Cobbs.
and he definitely deserves it. Another big game this week that really caught my attention. Red Oak against South Oak Cliff. Red Oak won 28-21. Now Red Oak might very well be the clear district champion in that.
Does that
because
mean
the district championship was basically week one of the?
Does that mean that Red Oak is that good, or South Oak Cliff is that bad right now?
Now, South Oak Cliff is such an interesting team because if you look at their roster, it is talent after talent. There are some D1 players on there, but they don't always gel together as a team. A lot of intangibles, a lot of mental mistakes, a lot of not team playing at times. And Red Oak is just, the epitome of they're going to sell out for each other. They really are bonding together, and this was a big win for Red Oak, very unexpected win for Red Oak. I think South Oak Cliff's going to be fine if they can come together and kind of gel as a team. A lot of disparate parts that are trying to form together to be a good football team. A lot of good players, but not necessarily a good team yet. But a team that has the athletes that you have to be concerned. If you see a Highland Park have to play them, or if you see whoever has to play them, South Oak Cliff, they would be playing Highland Park. This Highland Park is in a different division, but if they had to play a team like Alito, Alito would have to bring its A game. That would be a very concerning game for a team like Alito because they have the athletes like Denton Geyer to beat them. Now, sometimes they don't have, like I said, that cohesion to win, but this is going to be a wake-up call because now they realize, I think sometimes we talk about good losses, and they're going to realize we just can't sleepwalk. We just can't be good athletes and out-athlete everybody in 5A, and I think that's going to help them, or it could break them. It could be the kind of thing that sends them off the rails and makes them a team that has a lot of disarray and a lot of dissension in it. But they have good coaches over there, so I think they'll make the better of the situation. I'm going to be positive and optimistic about that. But Red Oak, let's give all the props to Red Oak. They took South Oak Cliff's best shot and delivered a win.
And I think that goes to show how, camaraderie and good systems and a team that will work together as a team every single week, week in, week out, can have the hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work as hard.
That is such a great saying, and it is so true in this case because Red Oak showed that they could put together a four-quarter game against a team that is arguably significantly better than them athletically from 1 to 22. If we're playing pick'em, we lined up Red Oak and South Oak's kids, we would probably take about 17 or 18 of the South Oak players if we were picking our team.
No offense, guys. Sorry.
But that shows you the importance of coaching. Shows you the importance of culture. And Red Oak has had a losing culture over the last 2 decades, but now they're turning that around.
Most definitely. Sorry, guys.
It's late for some people. It is the 5th quarter, so you have a game and then we're afterwards.
We're way.
Now, as a night owl, I'm always fired up. I'm always ready to talk the great game, but.
I'm always too. I'm just tired.
But you had to do all the weather reporting in Houston, right? All the cancellations and trying to figure that out, It
was a very interesting weekend down in Houston.
Our thoughts and prayers, God. I've seen some incredible flooding scenes. Just hope everybody's okay. I know football is not always the first thing that goes on that's in your mind when you're thinking about what's going on when you have these hurricanes.
Definitely.
Hurricane Rita, obviously, a couple of years ago, just ravaged seasons, ravaged high schools. Hurricane Harvey, we saw that. Even though Imelda was not a big storm as it was, Houston's just not built for rain.
I want to know
it's just not.
How you come up with Imelda.
Just the letter I.
Right? But that's a name that not even my grandma's generation. And my grandma is almost 90.
She wouldn't like Imelda?
No.
More of a Ruth or
She's
Dorothy?
a Joanne.
A Joanne.
But she'd be like, Imelda? Anywho, sorry, I didn't mean to.
That is the kind of insight that you can only get in the 5th quarter. We go from hurricane talk
to grandma's
talk. We cover it all. Other big game, I think that if we're going to have to cover one, because I already see the producer telling me to wind down, and I will go as long as I want, Mr. Producer. I'm really talking to no one on that.
We do this by ourselves, guys.
I'm pointing over there like
I have an Instagram post that I made last week where I'm sitting there and somebody's saying, "Oh, quiet on set." My mom goes, "Who's on set with you?" And I was like, "Sound effects. They're great."
Right? Sound effects are great. But there you go. Frisco, we're gonna get this. We're gonna get a new one. Frisco Reedy against Denison, and Frisco Reedy. We've had some questions about Frisco Reedy this year.
We have.
And we had a conversation about their two quarterbacks with Kitna and who's going to take over.
Preller.
Yeah, big game against Denison this week, back and forth, but Frisco Reedy held on.
It did.
Denison scored late, had an onside kick, trying to catch Reedy. And going to Denison, there are some sterile stadiums. Frisco, all the Frisco stadiums, there's not really a home field advantage. The Star is beautiful, but there's just not going to be.
But it's not your home.
It's not your home.
It's everyone's home.
It's Frisco Memorial things, but Denison has a true home field advantage. You're going up an hour north. It's just a whole different atmosphere up there. So it's loud. It's proud. So for Frisco Reedy, after playing a very questionable non-district and first district game, little iffy. For them to come back and beat Denison, a team that is thought to challenge them for the district title. Good
So
for
do you
Frisco
think
Reedy.
Frisco Reedy can bounce back from that beginning of the season kind of lull, kind of not having the most, kind of having a lackluster beginning of the season to making a decent playoff run?
I don't know if we're at decent playoff run out
Okay.
of Frisco Reedy. I do think they are going to be one of the 5 teams in District 7-5A Division 2 that will be competing for a playoff spot. I could honestly see Frisco Reedy not making the playoffs. Frisco is really the kind of the team that everybody's talking about.
Yeah, they
right?
won 76-28.
Look at those eye-popping numbers, and look at that first
700
line right there.
or 30 first downs and 751 yards.
Yeah, and Frisco Lebanon Trail is not a team that is
They
playing
don't get
bad.
pushed around.
No, I mean they're still a new school, first couple of years, but they're still winning some decent games. And Frisco, with a complete offensive overhaul, Frisco used to be just the ground and pound sort. We'd only throw the ball 3 or 4 times. New head coach, new philosophy over there. Still put up 436 yards. Still had 163 yards of turnovers, but 751 total yards, 76 points. A statement win for Frisco.
Most
I think
definitely.
Frisco is the team to beat in District 7-5A.
So who
Division
are the
2.
teams in that district, do you think?
Well, you got Frisco Reedy. I think you're still going to see Denison and Denton Braswell as kind of fighting with Lovejoy. I think it's going to come down to Lovejoy and Reedy for the final playoff spot. I think you're going to see Frisco, Denison, and Braswell. And somebody who's watching this might say, well, you just talked about Frisco Reedy beating Denison. Why is Reedy not there? I think Denison's going to win a couple of games that Reedy is going to lose. I think I'm not sold on Reedy. I think Denison, when you start getting into tiebreakers, and we saw this last year, Team A would beat Team B, and then Team B would beat Team C, and you think, okay, well, A's going to beat C, C beats A. It completely flips the script, and I think in this district it's going to come down to matchups. But when you're a team like Frisco putting up 76 points, they are owning the matchups. I think Frisco is the team to beat. Frisco Reedy needs to show me 1 or 2 more wins before I get back on their bandwagon. I think they could easily be one of those teams that go 5-3 in this district and lose by a tiebreaker.
So Matt, final thoughts, week 4.
District play has started. All is right in the world when district play has started. And next week it's going to start for a lot of people. We're going to get to talk about South Lake and Denton Geyer. Denton Ryan had a nice win tonight.
I like those Denton teams a
Blow
lot.
out West Mesquite. Are you secretly like a UNT fangirl or something?
No, definitely not.
I am all your Denton love.
I am TCU till the day I die.
Yeah, let's go down 35 West, exit University, right?
Heck yeah.
Old South Pancake House.
No, not a big fan.
Go Frog. Is that a frog thing?
No, it's this one right here. Rip, Ram, Bazoo. I won't get into that right now, though. But final thought.
I'm excited about the district play next week. We're going to see South Lake and Denton Geyer get involved in district. A lot of good schools with Keller, and then District 6-6A with Louisville, Hebron, Marcus, Flower Mound, and Coppell, all having a battle royal for 4 spots. Every week will matter in that district, and we will be talking about it pretty much every week. That will be a district that we'll focus on.
And we've got some big games that will be coming next week, like English Trinity and Eldon Bell, Keller Central, Denton Geyer, Louisville, Flower Mound, Keller at South Lake Carroll. It's going to be a big week next week.
Arlington Lamar versus Arlington Martin. I
Yeah,
think that's
that's
going
another
to
big
be a
and
big one.
Waxahachie and Cedar Hill. Lake Ridge, DeSoto. It's going to be a huge
district week, and then we kind of get some bye weeks coming in week 5, and other districts will be going, and then by then, when we get to week 6, everybody will be playing district. And then we're going to start talking about the ramifications. This loss means this, how tiebreakers start to work. I geek out over that talk when we get into playoff talk.
Well, Matt, it's always a pleasure.
And again, I asked myself, what would Pat Doney do? And I think Pat Doney would have an amazing sign-off right now. So would you like to channel your...
No, I'll let you do it. This is your segment.
My segment. For Ashlea Bullington, for the Wizard, and all of the fine folks who take care of us
we've
at
got another
Inside
segment after this.
High School Sports, we will send it to them and let them talk.
We'll be right back with the 5th quarter.
That's not...
The Inside Story is driven by your North Texas Honda dealers. Right now, they can help you get great deals on award-winning Hondas. It's their job to be helpful, so stop by your local helpful Honda dealer today.
And it's time to come see the Wizard. Watch out. Nothing right now. Well, Matt Diggs was here for his segment, so of course, our segment just ended with him. And now we're here with the Wiz. Thanks. We decided to go with the natty here tonight. Ward, what do you got for us?
Actually exported a game from Thursday night, but I wanted to show you some stuff from the Red Oak game that happened today against South Oak Cliff. I heard you guys talking about that one. Kind of a statement game for Red Oak. They've been looking for respect. As I move back on the timeline here a little bit, I'm going to show you this. This is the kind of effort they put. This is it right after they were tied up at 7. They kicked it off to Colby Cavill right here. Breaks it up the sidelines. It's a 96-yard kick return for a touchdown. When they had tied the game, when South Oak Cliff had tied it at 7, it very well could have discouraged them, taken out their hearts a little bit. Very next play, they stepped right back on the gas. They ended up pulling that one out 28-21. Took advantage of 4 turnovers by South Oak Cliff, and now they're odds-on favorite to win that 6-5A Division II district, which has always been South Oak Cliff. They've always dominated. Well, they beat South Oak Cliff, and all the other teams are, kind of lesser, and they're going to have to step up to beat them. So
one of the things that Diggs and I talked about was the fact that, working as a team, hard work beats talent. If talent doesn't work hard, and that to me is a statement of Red Oak tonight as they beat South Oak Cliff.
That's a very good point, because they were determined from the beginning. They played together as a team, like you said. And, sometimes you just can't go out there and beat everybody with just athletics, and that proved it tonight.
It takes more than one person to make a team.
Exactly.
There's no I in team. I can go sports cliches all night, though.
Exactly. And speaking of teams, I don't think our buddy Larry, who is our director for Inside High School Sports, I don't think he watches the 5th quarter yet. Let's hope he doesn't, because I'm going to get you to show a little something special that we got prepared for him. It's his very last day directing the show. He's directed every single show since we've gone live. So we got him a little bobblehead to say thanks. So he'll be his last day tomorrow. Larry is a very valued member of the team, and we're sad for him to be retiring, but he's going to be replaced by Greg Berg, and he's just as good. So you'll see Larry live in his bobblehead on the show as
we're
say
giving away
goodbye to
2 bobbleheads tomorrow.
Exactly, as we say goodbye to him. I don't want to give away who's getting the bobblehead, but it's somebody from the Highland Park Lone Star game. Highland Park lost, so it's probably a Lone Star kid.
We obviously know who it is now.
We're not giving anything away.
You're not very good at giving surprises.
I know, I suck at that.
Not very good at surprises.
Well, people want to know some things, and I just don't like keeping secrets.
What else do we have?
I don't want to lie to you people.
What else do we have?
We also have a sweet inside story on, and I heard you guys talking about Kadrick Cobbs, who's the running back at Denton Geyer. Not only great on the field, but number 1 in his class.
Great off the field,
1,300 on his SAT, which is 300 more than I did. And if I took it now, it'd probably be 700 more than I did. And he's odds-on favorite to be valedictorian of his class. He's just an excellent pursuit for perfection. He does it every single day, on and off the field. And it's a great story. Our flashback, is on legendary coaches. We're going to talk about all the legendary coaches that
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, exactly. That we've covered over the past 25 years. We're going to have all the highlights. I know my man Pox is in there working on highlights for a huge upset with Fort Worth All Saints beating Paris Episcopal. Maybe not huge, but a big upset.
For Taps, it's big.
Exactly.
We got some Rockwall.
We got some Rockwall Martin. Who do you think you'll see in the Rockwall highlights? I don't know. A guy
11
named
receptions,
Jigba? Yeah,
11 catches.
The guy's in every highlight. Even we don't shoot
Jackson.
Rockwall games, he's in the highlights. He wanders on the field for other teams.
He was our recruiting trail today, so if you want to learn more about
Exactly.
Jackson Smith and Njigba, go watch our
What is this,
recruiting
week
trail.
4? We only got 6
Week
or 7
4.
more weeks left up in the regular season.
Really?
Don't cry, don't get upset.
I feel like there's so
He'll
many
get
weeks
playoff
of
games in. I know, there's plenty of weeks left. We're just starting district play. I'm sure you guys are going to talk about that with Diggs in a little bit. And,
Next week.
I appreciate you guys coming into Iceland, and if you don't believe it's freezing cold in here, I have hot chocolate in here. It's
Our
freaking
offices are very, very,
90 degrees
very
outside,
cold.
and I'm in here with hot chocolate.
The
so
Wiz and
know
I
what's
have
going
the coldest offices there are.
on. Exactly. It's
We
ridiculous.
walk around as winter all day.
And yet the shoulders
every
are
day.
out. I don't know what's going on. She's got to be freezing.
Anyways, thank y'all for watching the 5th quarter. I'm Ashlea Bullington. He is the Wizard. You can catch all the highlights tomorrow on Wingstop Inside High School Sports
You got
on
it.
6:30 p.m.
got a lot
on
in her
NBC
brain.
5. There's so much going on. That's the second time I've done that tonight. But thank you for watching the 5th quarter. We'll see you next week.